Hey kindergarten, this is going to become our line and geometric organic shape pattern. On the back of your large white paper, take a regular pencil and write your name. After you've got that, flip that piece of paper over. Now we're going to need to use some glue to glue on our black square. Open up your glue bottle just enough so that when you gently squeeze it you can hear some air. And as we glue, we always remember dot, dot, not a lot. So all I really need is 5 dots of glue. Not right up on the edge, but just a little bit inside. And I'm going to flip that guy over. I'm going to line it up with the bottom of my paper down here. And I'm going to glue it just like that. I'm going to hold my hands on top of it to make sure it glues itself flat for a few seconds. And there. I'm done with my glue, so I'm going to twist my glue bottle closed so when I squeeze it I don't hear any air coming out of it. Now we're going to need to choose one of these 3 colors of markers. I've got green, turquoise, and blue. And I think for my project I'm going to choose turquoise. I'm going to use my turquoise marker and I'm going to draw some lines that curve from this black square down here. You can have about 5 or maybe 6. On this one I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now on those lines, where your line connects with this black piece down here, you're going to need to thicken it up just a little bit by going back over it with a marker. So we've got lines that have begun touching our black rectangle, which, as you remember, is a geometric shape. Now I'm going to have to take some ovals, and I'm going to add those onto the turquoise lines that I have right here. Just like that. Now some of you have probably already started to begun seeing that what we have looks like the stem of maybe some plants or some flowers. And if you're thinking that, you're right on the money, because what we're going to end up doing now is turning these guys into flowers. So we're going to need a little bit of paint. Whenever we paint in here, there's some things to remember. Whenever we're not using our brush, it goes back in the water. We always need a paper towel and a paint tray. Since we're using watercolor paint, before we use any paint, we need to put a drop of water into the colors that we're planning on using. And all I'm going to do right now is just use a little tiny bit of green, not much. There's hardly any green on the tip of that brush, and I'm just going to brush some green over the lines that I drew with marker. Just like that. A little extra down here. Now we need to let this paint dry, so it's important to know that this brush goes back in our water. As we're waiting for our project to dry, we can continue working on that piece of paper that we started earlier in class with the organic shapes on one side and the geometric shapes on the other side. Okay, now that my paint is dry down here, I'm ready to use a second color. And on our second color, we're going to choose either orange or yellow. And somewhere above those green lines, we're going to end up using a circle, which is a geometric shape, and we're just going to paint a dot. Make sure that your dot is not touching any of your green stem. paintbrush goes back in the water, and I'm going to let that dry. Alright, here's how we clean up our paint. Close the lid on our paint tray. We're going to take our paintbrush, we're going to gently dab it inside our water container until it's nice and clean on the tip. We're going to take our paper towel and we're just going to gently pull the bristles through just like that. We're going to set our paint container with the brush at the center of our table. We're going to set our water cup there, and we're going to take our paper towel and put it in the trash. After that, we're ready for a white colored pencil, and what we're going to do down here is we're going to end up making a geometric shape pattern. All I'm going to do is draw 3 lines from the left side to the right side. There's 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to use some geometric shapes like squares, circles, triangles, diamonds, and I'm going to fill these in. I'm going to make squares on this top one, and I'm going to make some circles on this middle line. I'm going to make some triangles on this third line, and then I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to carefully color them in. So what we have is a pattern of geometric shapes. Alrighty, there's our finished project. Last step in this bottom space right here. Take your time, write your name, and you're done. Alright, my friends, for this last step, we're all going to need either a red or an orange marker. And once our paint is dry, and your project looks just like this, here's what you're going to do. You're going to take that marker, whether it's red or orange, and you're going to make some little loops around your flower. You want maybe 5 or 6 loops, and if you end up off the paper like that, that's okay. Try to keep them fairly big because we're going to paint them in just a minute. Alrighty. Now if you used a red marker, you're going to paint them in with red paint. If you used an orange marker, you're going to paint them in with orange paint. Since I used red on mine, I'm going to use a little bit of red paint. Cool thing about watercolor is the more water you use with your paint, the lighter the color. The less water you use with your paint, the lighter the color. And a little bit of watercolor goes a very long way. All you're going to do to finish up is paint in your flowers.